Hi RJ, good day. Kumusta?
Okay naman, hello. Thank you for inviting me here.
I wanted to talk to you about harm reduction, about drug use, basically your experience as a public health consultant. Like I know that you have been very active while you were in the Philippines because now you're in the UK doing pursuing your masters. But maybe for the handful who don't know you yet, who are watching this episode, maybe you can introduce yourself a bit about your experience as a public health consultant and also a founder of an organization.
Hello everyone. So, I'm RJ. So, I'm a medical doctor by profession, but I do public health work. No? Mostly focused on mental health and substance use. I also founded a non-profit organization that campaigned for the mental health law, the Youth for Mental Health Coalition, and I'm also a member of the Drug Policy Reform Initiative. So, it's a coalition of different civil society organizations lobbying for amendments no dun sa RA 9165 or the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act.
So, can you talk more about yung experience mo with the drug policy reform initiative? Like what were the learnings that like obviously na during the past administration kay under President Duterte or former President Duterte na he was really actively pursuing like drug users, not just like those who are, selling drugs, but also even those who are using it.
So actually, the Drug Policy Reform Initiative is a coalition no of different CSOs. So yung iba sa kanila are organizations composed of lawyers and judges. Merong mga people who use drugs, yung mga mismo organization nila no coming from the community. And yung isa sa mga members noon is the Institute of Politics and Governance. No? So yung IPG is a non-profit that was founded in 1998. Initially, yung focus niya talaga is yung participatory budgeting, citizens' participation in governance. Pero nung height nung killings no during the time of Duterte, we wanted no to influence local government units to adopt harm reduction inspired approaches for people who use drugs no. So basically changing how their community-based drug rehabilitation programs are being run, influencing their local policies para mas maging enabling no yung environment for more public health oriented and compassionate approaches no for.
So I was reading this research about how queer people are affected by there's a significant population of like queer drug users in the Philippines. Have you encountered this like during your work with the drug policy reform initiative? Like how was your experience with not just the people, like I guess like the wider population, but for the queer community in the Philippines?
Yeah, actually parang when I looked at the research no that you've sent, it just validated no the things that we somehow have an inkling on already no. So for example, yung issue of multiple deprivations no, especially sa queer community with the stigma that they experience no. Actually one author suggested na they experience a triple burden of stigma no. So nandiyan yung stigma of HIV, stigma of being a queer person, and of course, no, yung substance use and how that also intersects with other structural barriers, no, that keep people from not only health services but opportunities in life in general, no. So nakakatuwa yung study, at least we get to quantify no ano yung mga things that are related to problematic drug use, and how it intersects with the gender of people.
I was also pretty active in the HIV advocacy a couple of years ago, and one of the things that they were saying na parang with the stigma of like HIV and also like with drug use, like we see a lot of like for example men having sex with men na parang who are drug users because like maybe as a form of escapism, which also aggravates the problem of HIV. Na parang it's sort of like we saw na there was a link between like increasing cases of HIV and also like yung drug use. Um, would you say na parang that was also what you saw like while you were working with in this space?
Actually, I'd like to just highlight also that people use drugs for various reasons, no? Yun nga, yung isa is because they need it to work, no? Merong actually the according to the Dangerous Drugs Board of of the Philippines, they say that the typical profile of a Filipino drug user is a functional user. And I think in one of the studies that I've also seen, yung mga for example, queer people who are also sex workers, mas mataas yung bayad pag meron drugs involved, no, in the sexual act, no. So isa yon sa mga possible na nakikita natin. And of course it's also related to the culture, no. Historically, even in the 1970s or 1980s, parang sinasabi nila na the LGBTQIA plus community is considered as an early adopter, no, dun sa mga novel na substances, no. Of course, it's not related to the identity per se, no, but also ano yung mga social or structural issues at that point in time that shape, no, yung use of drugs.
I want to talk about like you mentioned like a very interesting term, functional user. Because the stereotype of the drug user, di ba, na parang okay, like as in their lives are like going nowhere as like they're probably stuck in their rooms, like using drugs all the time. So can you unpack like what a functional user is?
Okay. Interesting yan because in one of my lectures, no, sa current master's program ko, we talked about the economics of risky behaviors. And one of the things that was brought up there is the theory of rational addiction. So, yung usual presumption kasi is that people who use drugs, hindi sila rational about going about their choices in life, no? Pero siguro, yung isa sa mga reflections ko with that theory is that iba-iba kasi yung definition natin of utility of certain issue, no? Kasi 'di ba when we make choices, it's always a balancing between benefits and costs, 'di ba? Pero iba-iba yung pina-perceive natin as benefits, no? And sometimes yung may bias tayo for the benefits that we experience at the current situation, no? Whether it be economic incentives or pleasure, 'di ba? Isa yun sa mga things that we also get from using substances. So sometimes when we value that, no, and situate that in a more economic sense, makita natin na yung mga choices ng mga people who use drugs are actually very rational, no, because it's dependent doon sa current valuation nila of the benefits that they get from using certain substances.
For the queer community, for example, like what would you say would be like when like drug users or like functional drug users, like how do they balance off, like you mentioned earlier na 'di ba na parang multiple stigmas, and like do you think that drug use sort of like, because you're feeling stigma, like drug use sort of becomes parang that rational, like parang you rationalize your drug use as a way to sort of combat, or like not combat but sort of like make the stigma a bit easier, like as a queer person? Would you say that that's what's happening?
Actually ano siya, eh, parang double-edged sword kasi siya if we frame it that way. On one hand, parang it might actually increase the stigma, no? Kasi na-associate with yung drug use with the identity of being queer. But at the same time, nakita natin may mga studies looking at drug use as a way to self-identify and find communities, no? Actually, may isang study nga, hanapin ko lang yung title, si Jennifer Power, no, in 2017, parang sinabi niya na these communities, no, are actually sources of well-being dun sa community of people who use drugs na also queer, no.
That's very interesting. And I know that you also volunteer there, like while you're doing your masters. Can you talk about your volunteer work in the mental no, in the drug use space there in London?
One of the organizations that I volunteer for is called Release, no? So it's a local charity based in London. And their work has mainly for the past few years focused on drug policy reform, no? Pero this year, they also tried to address no yung current needs, no? Kasi dito sa UK ngayon parang before it was only yung mga opioid type na mga substances, no? Pero ngayon mas nagiging dangerous, mas toxic yung supply because of nitazines, no? So ano rin sila, kind of substances na nahahalo doon sa mga opioid-like substances. So mas nagiging higher yung risk for overdose if you take those, especially if the supply is unsafe, no? So one of the things that Release tried to do is to set up a harm reduction hub in East London, and we basically provide the space, no, for information, for drug checking, no. So we check yung content ng substance if they're pure or not, or we lead them to appropriate services kung ano man yung kailangan nila, whether it be legal, or other forms of support, no. So yun yung mga binibigay namin, and some of them are actually yung mga nag-a-avail ng service, no, yung mga rough sleepers or yung tinatawag na mga homeless people, or sometimes it's also yung mga sex workers, no, who also turn out to be queer. So I think yung difference, no, sa context natin dito sa Philippines and the UK is that yung mga programs, no, are more inclusive o siguro of the concerns ng ano ng community, as compared sa Philippines na mas ano siya, mas catered, I think, no, mostly sa mga men, no? So it's very gender blind, if I would say. Sa Philippines, parang siguro yung pinaka maaabot na lang natin is the segregation between men and women sa rehabilitation centers, no? Pero dito sa UK, mas mainstreamed yung issues of gender. Actually, I would say na nasa ano siya, nasa parang nasa forefront talaga siya nung services that we try to provide.
Do you think that the approach towards harm reduction in the Philippines can improve vastly, and like what learnings could you take from what you're doing there in London that we can apply in the Philippine context?
Sobrang dami, especially now na, with the change of administration, mas lumabas yung mga windows of opportunity, no, when it comes to reforming yung drug policies natin. So like for example, there are talks now with the Department of Justice on decriminalization of certain substances. Nandoon na rin yung openness sa DOH in terms of looking for more public health oriented approaches. And sobrang sakto, no, because this July we will be having the Philippine Drug Summit, no? So multi-stakeholder approach siya, no? Looking at how we can integrate harm reduction. So, at nakakatuwa, no? Kasi sa mga initial pre-summit dialogues that we've conducted, nami-mention na yung harm reduction, no? Because in the Philippines, based on our laws, mukhang hindi talaga possible, no? Yung harm reduction, no? It's always, kahit sa plans ng Dangerous Drugs Board, it has always been supply reduction or demand reduction. Walang harm reduction as an approach. And most of them are actually geared towards abstinence, no, as the only indicator for well-being.
I like that you talked about abstinence because nakikita ko yung parallel even like with HIV, di ba? Na parang when we talk about harm reduction, like, you know, like trying to prevent contracting HIV, na laging ang recommendation is abstinence, abstinence, abstinence. But that's not a very pragmatic approach, di ba? Because obviously, like when you were talking about like, you know, weighing the pros and cons of like why you do a certain behavior, di ba? Na parang you see that there's more benefit to it. Now, I want to talk about yun nga, na parang, do you think na the problem is also how we add there's a value judgment with using drugs. Na very binary yung thinking natin na it's either good or bad. Na parang if you use drugs, you're a bad person. So parang yun nga, na parang the only solution to that is like stop using it without considering like why you even do it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, actually maraming concerns about how drug use is actually conceptualized, no? So syempre nandiyan yung being right or wrong, no? And sometimes yung framing natin of it being a mental health concern is also sometimes problematic, no? Kasi hindi naman lahat ng substance use ay for example, sakit, no? Some people tinry lang nila gumamit ng certain substance, hindi sila naging dependent doon, they didn't cause harm to other people or even themselves kasi one time lang nila tinik. So, hindi rin helpful, no, that we medicalize all forms of substance use, no. So, syempre may certain aspect of it na it would warrant treatment, no? Kasi kung titignan mo yung policies natin ngayon, kahit isang tikim ka lang ng substance, isang try ka lang ng substance, you get 6 months minimum mandatory rehabilitation from the court, no? So isa yun sa mga things that we're also trying to change. But definitely if we going back dun sa issue ng moralizing, no, ng substance use, it narrows, no, yung interventions that we can also provide to people, no, kasi hindi na nagiging focus yung preventive services, no. So for example yung screening services, issues of drug checking, no, yung mga ganong interventions, hindi na nabibigay yung option na yun for people, no. And once they get dependence, no, or magkaroon sila ng other physical related harm, no, when it comes to substance use, nagiging delayed yung pag-seek nila ng certain behavior, no. And we know na if we prolong yung availment of services, usually the condition becomes more severe, no, mas nagiging matagal yung mga complications niya. And I think, no, it adds, no, to the stigma that people experience in general, no. So I think when I talk to people who use drugs, nandun yung stigma dun sa community, coming from the community. Pero I think yung mas mahirap na i-combat na form of stigma is the form of self-stigma, no, that they experience because of the things that other people say to them. So, minsan, yung mga parang negative associations with drug use like naging unproductive sa work, no, etc. Mahirap ka trabaho, mahirap ka deal. Um, nagiging self-fulfilling prophecy sila and it limits, no, in general yung opportunities given to them.
As a doctor, I want to hear what you think about when does drug use transition into something that is harmful or something that is like when does it become addiction in a sense? Because we talked about functional use, di ba? Na parang functional addicts. So when does drug use actually become problematic? Is it something that they have to decide on their own na parang the way that I use drugs is harming me? Or can we like sort of like as a doctor, di ba? Like are you able to like make assessments and say that this is not like beneficial for you?
Interesting. Kasi ano rin, parang long-standing debate rin 'yan and maraming critiques, no, on how doctors, no, and health professionals in general diagnose people who use drugs. But as of now, yung sinusundan na definition ng medical profession is the DSM-5, no. So merong tinatawag doon na diagnosis called substance dependence. And usually, no, yung drug use, no, becomes dependency when you crave for it, no, when you're not really mindful, no, of the possible negative consequences of using that certain substance, and when there is actually intolerance, no. So tolerance, no. So when you use a certain drug, you don't get the same high, so you consume higher levels of that certain substance para ma-achieve mo yon, no. So yun yung mga usual definitions. Of course, we can go to the more nitty-gritty way of diagnosing it. Pero usually pag nagko-cause na siya ng harm to yourself or to other people, um, doon na pumapasok yung issue of being pathological already, no? Pero I would say na most people who use drugs, no, are not problematic. Most of them are not dependent, no, on substances. At iba-iba rin yung characterization of harm na kailangan natin pag-usapan kasi there was this study in the UK by Professor David Nutt. Parang he tried to characterize no yung iba't ibang harms caused by drugs, no. So basically yung classification niya is harms to oneself, usually medical, 'di ba? Yun yung mga usual reasons or usual causes. And he also characterized yung harms directed to other people, no, or yung mga mas societal harms. And then he tried to rank the different substances, no. And interestingly, yung nag-emerge as top most harmful drug is alcohol. no? And makita mo
Which
dito
is
yung
legal.
which is
Which is
legal, which
legal
is
and socially acceptable.
yes, 'di ba? Tapos yung mga deemed as illicit, sila yung mga nasa gitna lang or even yung mga psilocybin, yung mga shrooms, no? Nandun sila sa latter end of the list, no? So interesting lang din on how um, yung policies natin make these prohibitions, no? Kasi sometimes they're not always attuned to um, evidence, no?
I was reading nga din na parang, I was reading before an article that said how we define, like yun nga, these substances as illegal or legal, harmful or not, also depends on like culture. So, yun nga, like you mentioned alcohol, for example, na why is it socially acceptable when it causes the most harm? Diba? Like what you were saying earlier. Na do you feel na, or do you think na the way that it has been classified is problematic? And also, there was also a criticism. I want you to comment on this criticism na um the government only considers a substance as like illegal when it hasn't figured out yet a way to tax it. So or like control it. What do you think about that?
Um, well, even before naman maraming issues diyan sa parang how we classify certain substances, no? Usually, yung biggest suspect talaga diyan is the United States, no? In terms of how they waged the war on drugs and started this global campaign on prohibition. At may mga scholars rin who are saying that it's also a colonial tool, no? Kasi sabi mo nga kanina, parang some of the indigenous people, no, have substance use, no, as part of their culture, no, yung mga practices nila, pero they want to wash that out, no, kaya nga inimpose nila yung mga ganitong drug policies, no, towards these communities, which are, I think, no, very violent, no, in a, not only in a legal sense but also in a cultural sense na rin, no. And I think in terms of how to tax it, no, I think ano yan, parang nandun pa rin tayo dun sa parang reflective siya of the capitalist framing of substance use, no? If you would look at yung experiment sa Thailand, no? Na yun nga parang they not only decriminalize it but they legalize, no? Marijuana, no? So yun nangyari diyan dahil hindi adequate yung regulations in place na ano na na-co-opt siya, no? Ng mga big capitalist entities, no? Na ideally, no, dapat yung gains noon should be directed towards who were victims of injustice, no, in the past few years. Mainly yung mga people who use drugs, yung mga small farmers ng cannabis, no. So yung mga ganon, kailangan i-view rin natin siya in terms of that lens. Because may mga initiatives rin right now na nag-emerge calling for cannabis equity, no? Interesting 'yon kasi yung idea noon is that kung sino yung mga naging victims nga of injustices, no? At kung sino yung mga nagpo-produce ng mga substances na yon, like yung mga cannabis farmers, for example, should benefit more, no? Hindi yung mga big corporations kasi usually dahil nga yung mga pharmaceutical companies, they're also investing on cannabis as a possible uh, medical ano, therapeutic, no, nako-co-opt tuloy siya. So, yung ano, yung revenues nako-concentrate sa kanila. So, yun yung mga current conversations ngayon, especially in India. I think very big thing siya ngayon doon.
I also was reading recently na parang Amsterdam was considering sort of like I'm not sure if like discouraging use because like they have been like when you think of Amsterdam diba, like we think of like you're able to use like weed, for example, cannabis, like when you go there. What do you think about that? And I guess like I want to contextualize that in like the Philippine context. And do you think na we are moving towards there na parang we're starting to sort of like encourage more discussions or even consider na like some of these like drugs are actually not as problematic or harmful as we think.
I think yung sa Philippines, what is really necessary right now, given the political and cultural na mga context na meron tayo, is really decriminalization, no, of substance use. yung legalization debate would need to be thoroughly deliberated, no? Because there are also some groups who are saying na once we legalize it, it adds another burden, no, of bureaucracy, no, doon sa mga people who use drugs, which might or might not, no, work towards their best interest. So yeah, tingin ko ano, parang decriminalization is 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 necessary right now. Legalization baka pag-isipan pa natin.
Do you think that parang we should raise more awareness within the queer community in the Philippines about these topics, like specifically like harm reduction, like drug use? Because obviously, like I'm a gay man. Like I've seen like people like use, I guess, like GHB. Like you hear about it like when you go on like social media, like like for queer people, for gay people. Now, do you think that there is a lack of awareness in the queer community? Is it something that we romanticize, or like, na drug use is romanticized in a way, but in a sense, we don't really understand like how it could impact like us and like society in general.
Mm. Um, I think the first thing we have to accept na is that drug use is present, no? Drug use is happening in the community. Kahit tignan mo yung mga international statistics and even yung study na na-mention natin kanina, the LGBTQIA plus community, no, mas higher yung substance use niya, no. Of course, we have to get better data with that, no. Pero it's there, no. And of course, as with any other behavior, there will be risks, no, in terms of using certain substances. And I think one of the things that is not given much focus is how do we actually use drugs safer, no? Like for example, what are the ways para ma-check natin yung quality of the substance that we're using, no? Ano yung mga things that we need to do, no? To keep ourselves safe, no? Kasi for example, drug use is associated with risky sexual behaviors, no? So ano kaya yung mga ways, no, para ma-prevent natin yung additional harms, no? Whether it's testing for HIV, using PrEP, no? Ensuring na merong condoms. So, yung mga ganon, we have to actually emphasize that, no, to people. And also, yung hindi masyadong napag-uusapan is the combination of certain substances and their effects, no? Kasi, for example, one of the most commonly abused drugs by the queer community is poppers, no? Amyl nitrites. And if you're using other types of stimulants, like shabu, no, or methamphetamine in the Philippines, which is the most common abuse substance, they can have adverse effects, no, to the body, pwedeng cardiovascular, no, etc. Or sometimes yung combination of poppers and sildenafil, no, popularly known as Viagra, no, para sa mga mas familiar dun sa brand, they try to reverse yung kasi mahirap ka daw ano, magkaroon ng erection if you're using poppers. So they try to combat that by using Viagra. But meron siyang possible health consequences, no, if you combine them. Or sometimes yung mga ginagamit natin for uh, mental health conditions. So say for example, if you're diagnosed with a mental health concern and then you use a certain substance, may possible interactions yung medications mo, which is the licit legal drug, and an illicit substance. So those are also things that we need to consider. If you're found positive with HIV, no, or you're taking medications for HIV, so merong possible na mga um, interactions yan with certain substances and their effect doon sa specific organs mo, no? Kasi 'di ba yung some yung mga antivirals, no, will have um parang possible impacts to the liver, no, or kidneys. So yung mga ganong interactions baka mas uh, mag-increase nung possible risk natin.
I mean, we're not even talking about like the interactions of like drinking, for example, vodka Red Bull. One is a downer and one is an upper, diba? Caffeine and alcohol, like parang it contradicts. But because like this one is like more socially acceptable, people don't really know that it is it's messing up your body. So like it's interesting that you mentioned that. So parang at that level nga na parang it's already legal. We're not talking about it. What more about like those that we deem as like like bad substances, diba? So I like that actually. But yeah, vodka Red Bull. It's the weirdest like, drink that you could drink.
Pero ginagawa rin nila yan even for illicit substances, no? Yung mga highers and downers, they combine it in one syringe. Yan, na-encounter ko yan
Oh, it
sa
happens.
pakikipag-usap dun
Okay.
sa... Yeah, it happens. Yung naalala ko, meron silang tinatawag na milkshake.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Ano ang
so,
milkshake? Such
milkshake.
a
Uh,
such a parang a safe name for
So parang kino-combine nila yung ano, kalimutan ko na yung specific combination, but it's a combination of Nubain and some other substances para mag-ano siya, mag-offset yung mga ano nila, yung impact ng isa't isa. Pero hindi always ganun yung impact niya eh. So if you combine uppers and downers, hindi automatic na maging neutral na lang siya. Hindi siya as
yeah.
simple as 1+1 or parang ganun. So, minsan may mga effects sila na synergistic, they can potentiate each other, or meron silang, yun nga, additive effect lang na they just build on each other. So, may mga ganun.
How do you plan to incorporate what you learn from there to like your experience in the Philippines? Like when you I assume like yun nga na parang when you go back, like you go back to like these organizations that you're part with, like what learnings do you aim to bring from like what you're learning right now?
Siguro first is skills in terms of policy analysis, no? So yung dissertation ko right now, na tinatrabaho ko pa is analyzing yung ano, yung national level substance use policies natin based from a harm reduction lens, no? Because usually na-analyze siya based on legal or even human rights or public health, no? Pero when we talk about harm reduction, baka wala pang ganong slant, no, na-introduce. And hopefully that changes, no, how things are being run in the Philippines, especially dun sa mga especially sa DOH, no, sa mga local governments natin. And syempre, integrate na rin yung mga issues natin sa queer community, no, while doing so. And then siguro second is looking at how to channel resources towards these programs, because as we all know, no, as with any other policy, nothing will happen unless you know how to fund it, no. So baka yun yung isa sa mga ano natin, parang isipin natin how can we utilize PhilHealth, how can we utilize yung mga local government budgets, no, how can we expand yung funds that are going sa mga drug abuse councils ng mga LGU so that they can also cater to harm reduction, mental health, gender issues. So yung mga ganun, para mas maging comprehensive yung mga programs natin.
As a last question, do you think na parang by addressing the stigma on the queer community, on like the PLHIVs, we are able to also address like yun nga, like drug use or harmful drug use?
Um, sure. When we address stigma, it can actually help, no? Pero I think kailangan siya i-complement with other campaigns as well. There was this interesting quote, no, from Jay Jackson, isa siya sa mga co-founders co-directors actually ng Transform Drug Policy Foundation here in the UK. Sinasabi niya, the drug policy movement, no, and the LGBTQ liberation movement are both natural allies and necessary companions, no. So ibig sabihin parang as we campaign, no, for drug user liberation, no, kasama diyan yung paglaban, no, dun sa mga issues that we face as a queer community, no. So syempre sa Philippines wala pa rin tayong anti-discrimination ordinance, no. So matagal na nating linalaban 'yan. So hopefully, no, maging conducive yung policy environment for us to actually um create models, no? Hindi pa nga changes eh. Models pa lang yung siguro maabot natin, and then later on the future generation siguro ng mga activists and advocates can build up on that.
Thank you, RJ, and more power. We'll look for all of the resources that you mentioned, and yeah, more power to the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Evan, sa pag-invite and to everyone who's listening.